Blessed be the Lord my strength, who teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. We are joined once again by the great warrior, Mike Harris. Mike, it is wonderful to have you on as always. It's been a little while. I know we've been enjoying the summer hues of the twilight season, and we seem to be heading towards the darkness of a political revolution with Trump and the retard Harris and all sorts of political ping pong games, as well as some international situations. There's a lot happening. I know we're going to talk about a little bit of Ukraine, about Israel, about this Merrick Garland, Christopher Wray, Russian collusion, Russian meddling police state that they're now rising up to do, and other things. So, Mike, I'll let you kick it off with your intelligence assessment. Go ahead.
Well, Scott, it's good to be back. I followed my own advice, and that was the enjoy the time in the calm before the storm.
Mm.
So I've done a few things that I have tried to enjoy the calm before the storm. Barbecues, fishing, just summertime stuff. And so it's good to be back. I'd like to say that after Labor Day, it's the return to the work year. Really, that's when the work year really begins, is after Labor Day. But we're in strange economic times. We're in times that have never been seen before, because we're living in a system that's never been seen before, and quite frankly, the wheels are coming off. It kind of looks like it's breaking down, and there are those who say it's by design. There are those who say that they're doing their best to hold it together. I don't think you can plan for the wheels to come off this way. There's always something is going to go wrong, even if it is your intention. We've all seen controlled demolitions of buildings, everything from 9/11 to other ones that are planned. We've all seen them happen, and sometimes they work perfectly. Other times they go somewhat awry, and it'll go off to an angle and mess a lot of things up. I think we're seeing their plan of a controlled demolition of our country and our economy. I think it's going horribly wrong for them right now, because too many people have woken up. This wonderful spying tool we call the internet, our smartphones and all that's connected to it, give them a lot of information, but they give us a lot of information too. And a lot of people are figuring things out, that we've all come to the conclusion that the mainstream media, whatever you're watching on the evening news, is a lie. I mean, the only guy you can believe on the news is the weatherman, and you better double check him. It's one of those kind of things. So we're living in very, very tumultuous time. Everybody that I come in contact with is, kind of down. A lot of people are feeling it. They're feeling the pressure financially. I was talking to a guy the other day. He was an Air Force Special Forces operator, and he's got a civilian job. And he confided to me that he is behind on his house payment. He and his wife are both working. They don't know what to do. These are serious things. And, I sent you an article a few weeks ago about how many people who are full-time, multiple job employed are sleeping in their cars in Walmart parking lots and other parking lots like that, because they can't afford rent, because the pricing has gone so much, wages haven't kept up. And these are the seeds of a revolution. Whenever you have too many people when you have nothing to lose, you have nothing to lose. At least if they put you in jail, you get three hots at a cot. That's there's something to be said for that. Then you complicate matters. You bring in 20, 30 million illegal aliens, military age young men. 95% of them are military age young men, and you turn them loose in our cities. I read today there is a town of 60,000 people in Ohio that they dumped 20,000 Haitians in. Okay. Now, suddenly, people's cats and dogs are disappearing. They're killing the ducks and the geese in the pond in the city park. And, everything has disappeared. The Haitians are eating them, is what they're doing. And, people are taking exception to this. And, as I've said many times, I'll say it again and again and again, we cannot maintain a first world culture and civilization with a third world population. These people do not belong here. They have been brought in by deep state globalist operatives. I'll call it Judea International. The Khazarian mafia has brought them in here to destroy our country and to degrade our population. And that's what we're facing today. And so, how are we going to respond and react to these? I think we need to respond and not react, because react is a knee jerk. And the first thing you want to go out and do is resort to violence. One thing this government knows how to do is how to quell violence, and they'll do it by killing you. And they will send National Guard out. And as we learned at Kent State, they will shoot you. So we can't afford to take that chance. So we've got to respond strongly, but positively, in a manner that is not going to provoke a violent reaction from them. So how do we organize ourselves and respond to this? I mean, these things are. I mean, like I said, it's crazy. Some Haitian comes up and tries to haul my dog off to barbecue him. I'm going to take a baseball bat to him. I'm going to tenderize him. May not kill him, but I'll tenderize him. But it's we're like I said, we're living in very bad times. I listened to your buddy Michael Jaco today, and he was saying that we're going to lose 15 blue cities, that they're going to go to completely Mad Max savage world inside these cities. And if that happens, the solution for us is easy. All we have to do is cut the power, cut the water, and turn off the sewage system for the city, and you'll bring it to a halt. I mean, put it under siege, and bring it to its knees. These people will come out. They will surrender. Particularly if you do it in the wintertime in a venue like Minneapolis or something. The Somalis want to get restive up there. Fine, we cut off your lights and power. You can wake up frozen to the floor the next day. We don't care. That's fine by me. But we've got to be able to respond and counter this threat. It's obvious our government is toxic to the American population, the American people, the citizens. The way they treat us, the way they're treating our veterans, the way they're treating our kids in school, that they're toxic. And we have to respond to this toxic threat that our own government has become. And as you and I were discussing slightly before the show here, that the Constitution, it's written into the Constitution that revolution is the correct response to this.
And let me read the Declaration of Independence, because I really think it's important to revisit and concretize ourselves into the Constitution, the law of the land. It is our legal, lawful power and preserver of our rights and our identity as Americans. Of course, our identity through our religious connection to God is another matter, but He has put us in the United States. We're not in Madagascar, by the grace of God. We're not in Chile or any other country. We are in the United States of America, and specifically, we're in the land of in California. Where you are, I won't give out too much information.
This is temporary here anyway. I'll explain it later.
So let me read this, because you're right, revolution. But I would say too, where we are now, the revolution occurred in 1776. We are now in a form of like readjustment, or correction, or some sort of corrective political chiropractic adjustment to put us back in alignment with our original law of the land, that we're not allowing to be changed by any other mechanism other than the mechanisms and the systems and the protocols and the procedures prescribed in the Constitution. So let's explore this for a few minutes and read it again and really dissolve it and meditate it, because you're right. It's a danger when we have a stupid electorate. It's a danger when we have a stupid police force or evil. And I would describe an evil government, evil police force, and evil citizenry, when they know the Constitution or the rights that you affirm, but they intentionally and purposefully and maliciously, out of an agenda to cause harm or extort, ignore it or try and spin it or change it. And I see this all the time with a lot of these cop videos, which I find entertaining but also outrageous. When cops show up on someone's door and they walk into a woman's house and she, says, get out of my house, you don't have a warrant, and the cop doesn't leave. Those sort of things, Mike, are, part of me says somebody should have a shotgun and blow that son of a bitch's head to the moon. Another part of me says you're dealing with a dumbass or a traitor, and he needs to be prosecuted. But this is a very dangerous time, and it resonates with what the Declaration of Independence says, because these are tyrants. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, and pay attention to the capitalization of these words and the absence of capitalization in these words. The unanimous declaration, capital D, of the 13 united, lowercase u, United States, capitalized states, and I would say that's synonymous with republics, the United Republics of America, because when they adopted this Constitution, they became republics because they adopted the Republican form of government. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth a separate and equal station to which the laws of nature, meditate on what that is, the laws of nature and of nature's God, the God of nature, the God who made nature, who made the winds, who made the water, who made the land, who made the stars, who made the geese, who made the fish. Everything in nature was created by a God. The Constitution recognizes God, and God being the God of nature, and man is part of nature, human beings. We didn't just spring forth from a fart from some alien film from whatever the guy's name who did the alien. I can't remember at the moment, but I'll move
Ridley
on.
Scott.
Thank you. I'm such a big fan too of that. The laws
He
of
also did
nature.
The Kingdom of Heaven, another great movie.
Oh, it was a good movie. Yeah, and yeah, he made a lot of good ones. And of nature's God, entitle them. God, God of nature, entitles mankind a decent respect to the opinions of mankind, requires that they should declare, very important word, declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Incidentally, Mike, just on a side note, this very language, this first paragraph, is exactly precisely what the people of the Donbass, Donetsk, Luhansk, Crimea, the whole area of eastern Ukraine, which then separated and became independent republics of Ukraine, became independent republics, and as independent republics, voted to join the Russian Federation. So it's like the states of Arizona, New Mexico, Texas declared themselves independent republics of Mexico and then joined the United States of America. That exact process is what happened in the Donbass. The United States overthrew the government in the election in 2014. The republics of Donbass, Luhansk, and Donetsk, and Crimea said, "Whoa, no, 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 no! We're not recognizing this government that's been planted by the United States, full of a bunch of Nazi bandera, swastika-wearing pagans. We are independent republics." And as independent republics, we're joining the Federation of Russia. It's right out of the Declaration of Independence, but let me continue. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent, the agreement, the allowance of the governed people, meaning the people create government to secure their rights, and the most important being their right to life, to liberty, and to pursue happiness, and that whenever any form of government, any agent, any institution, any building, any badge wearing person, anyone with a lanyard claiming to be from the government, any form of government, any actor, any person of government becomes destructive of these ends, destroys your rights, suspends your rights, tries to license your rights that God gave you. That when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, alter the government, alter the person, alter the building, alter the agency. That means cut off their authority or redefine their authority, or another way, redirect it, change their nature. Is the right of the people to alter it, to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Again, safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. Now, the key in there is while evils are sufferable. Intimated in that, or part of that, is there comes a point where evils are not sufferable any longer. They cannot be suffered. They cannot be endured. They cannot be allowed. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government. Throw off such government. Not politely ask, throw it off, like Christ overthrowing the money changers' table. Throw off such government, and to provide new guards for their future security. The people provide new guards. The people choose. The people create. The people give the badges and the licenses and the powers to the judges and whoever it is. The people. And also inherent in that is the natural right of the people to defend themselves, militias, committees of safety, etc., to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferances of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries. You can substitute Biden. The history of the present President of America, Joe Biden, is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let the facts be submitted. I'll stop there, but go ahead.
Okay. You know, the here's the conflict. Here's the rub. There's people out there who want to be left alone and just want to be free to do what they want. And then there's other people out there who want to tell everyone what to do and how to do it. And that's really what this conflict comes down to. You know, I as long as something is not hurting me, I don't want to interfere in anybody else's life. And that's all these other people want to do, is control people, control me, control everyone else around me. And not going to put up with it. You're just not. And really what we're coming down to here is, what are you willing to die for? You know, I mean, really, where are you at? I mean, all of us want to live. None of us are eager to to end this life. But what is worthwhile for you to sacrifice your life for? what is the greater good that you're willing to put it on the line for? That's really the question that everyone on both sides is going to have to ask themselves. I really don't understand this whole movement towards a totalitarian state. I don't, I mean, so few people benefit from that being at the top and everyone else suffers. I don't understand why they have any support at all. I don't understand why they have any private in their army would ever pick up a rifle to help them. I mean, to do what they say. I mean, they just beat it into them. They put the fear to make them do it. I don't get it. I mean, I've got a little more backbone than that. It's going to take one hell of a beating to get me to acquiesce.
Well, you look just as a quick little rabbit trail. There's a video of an Irish school teacher. I don't know if you saw this. An Irish school teacher in Ireland being approached by some cop in Ireland, and the Irish cop says, "I'm putting you under arrest for violating the transgender, hate speech or something." And this is a teacher, and he said, "No, I don't recognize your ability to do that. And I am not telling my students to embrace transgenderism. And it is my duty." And the cop says, "Well, it's my duty to arrest you." And he said, "No, it is not your duty to do what's wrong." And the cop, uh, again, just oblivious, puts the guy under arrest. The same phenomenon seems to be about to break out here in the United States, where they're quote just doing their duty, but that doesn't carry very far. That's not going to continue. Again, this is not about revolution. This is about a correction. This is about the Biden administration, Mayorkas, the Homeland Security, Sullivan, State Department, all of these clowns, the department, the Secretary of Defense, all of them overthrowing the government and triggering an invasion of the United States. The Secretary of Defense has a role in this, and so does every military officer in the United States Pentagon, in the military now, because no one has stood up and done anything to defend against an invasion. The governors, what have they really done except put something on paper? But have they gone down and stopped this invasion? Have they put their own guardsmen on?
Have they called out the National Guard and put them on the border to stop it? No, none of them have. But I tell you what, speaking of Ireland, I was thrilled to see that Conor McGregor is going to run for president of Ireland. I think that is a very, very positive move in the right direction. He's one heck of a fighter, and to see him running for president, I think it'll give a lot of courage to a lot of the other Irishmen there who don't want to become a Muslim country, who don't want to be overrun by other people. And trust me, I mean, Scott, you and I, we both been in the Middle East. The Muslims are very good people
Yes.
to us when we're there, but we didn't invite them into our homeland. Like they don't invite us into theirs. I mean, so they have a country to go to. If you're in Ireland, you have no place else to go. Where are you going to go? I mean, that's your home. This is the United States. This is our home. These immigrants come up here, these illegal aliens. Let's get them by the right name. That's what they're illegal aliens. They come up here looking for a better life. Well, where are we supposed to go? We have nowhere else to go. So we've got to fight. We've got to defend this. And if this is how the Indians felt when the white settlers were coming across the Great Prairies there, it's not a good feeling. It's a really bad feeling, in fact.
Well, I'm interested in how this is going to evolve, how this is going to be responded to, because I'll put it this way. I think the Declaration of Independence is very, very clear. I'll read it one more time in this part. When a long train of abuses and usurpations tries to reduce us under despotism, it is our right and our duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their security. I don't think there's another point in history where the United States has had more damage done, more violations of law, more violations of the Constitution than we have right now. I'll put it to you. How do you see this evolving between now and November?
Well, the question that everyone's been asking is, are we even going to have an election? This Kamala Harris, this appointee, she didn't get a single delegate. She was awarded those delegates that were Biden's. So the Democrats say they're protecting democracy, but they're not allowing the process that is democracy to manifest itself, to be carried out. They're thwarting the process by putting an appointee in there. Now, back channel stuff on the Democrat side says that they really wanted Gavin Newsom in there, and Kamala pulled a coup on Joe and forced him out and put herself there. The next move that I'm hearing about is that Joe's going to step down in exchange for pardons for himself, Hunter, and the rest of his family, so that they don't have to do any jail time. But she'll be running as the incumbent then for the balance of his term that's running out. So that is something to watch for, folks, because if she's running as an incumbent, listen to the radical things she's saying now. On day one, she's going to sign an executive order to confiscate all firearms. Well, good luck with that, bitch. Come get it. And anybody who tries, I'm telling you, I will. Right now in my home, I have a Remington 870 Police Special pump shotgun. It's Parkerized is black. It's a nice piece. The first three rounds in there are what do you call them? Baton rounds, so that nobody gets hurt. I mean, I put those in there during the Black Lives Matter Antifa riots because you didn't know how close people were going to get. And a cop friend of mine said use these baton rounds because you can shoot somebody that it's not deadly intent. You're not going to harm anybody. You're going to make them think twice about coming on your property. So do that. But after that, it all goes to double aught buckshot, and that'll tear people up. But you got three tries there to back them down, to back them off, to let them know you're serious. You're not afraid to pull the trigger, but you're not going to kill anybody with them. You're going to hurt them. You're going to de-incentivize them to stay on your property, but you're not killing anybody. If the three rounds don't do it, then the cop's not a lawyer, but then you're in pretty good standing that if you have to shoot anybody after that, you're okay with that because they didn't listen the first three times. So they need to listen now because we're into a point here where self-defense is going to be it, and they want to take your right to defend yourself from you. If Kamala is steps into Joe Biden's role before the election, count on it. She will put an executive order out to confiscate firearms. Count on it. And so these are the times we're living in. We've got to respond to this. Like I said, not react because that'll get us in trouble. Like I said, this government knows how to crush dissent. They know how to crush it. They know how to crush violence if they choose to. And we're the ones they want to crush. So we've got to be very careful. We have to be very deliberate with the choices we make. And so, just be prepared, folks. Like I said, I've been telling everybody, get out of the cities, buy food, buy ammo, buy guns, be ready for what's coming because I don't see any way around it. I just don't see it. And all I see is the pressure behind it is building and building and building. And these illegal aliens are still coming across the border, tens of thousands every day, and it's unabated. And we've got the ability to stop that in a day. All you got to do is give the border patrol, shoot on sight. I mean, say anybody crosses the border, just drop them, and it'll stop. You might have to kill a few people, but it will stop. The word will spread very fast that we're not fucking around on the border. And then the roundup internal to the country. But more fundamental than that is how do we purge ourselves of the traitors who are holding political office or bureaucratic offices within our government that are enabling this? These are the people who are behind it. They didn't. These illegals didn't come up here by themselves. They got help. They got help from the UN. They got help from NGOs. Why are these NGOs? Why are these Catholic charities still in operation? How come they're not shut down? They're obviously violating the law. And if you're not going to enforce the laws, then get rid of them and let the people do it because we will. We will take care of it. But that's not what they want. They want strife. They want domestic violence within this country so that they can crush us. Our 80 million deplorables that voted for Donald Trump in 2020. They want to crush us. They want us gone. They keep trying to label us as white supremacists and all sorts of stuff. Nothing could be further from the truth. But they're trying to make this breakout into a hot war. And then what they're doing in Ukraine and what how they're provoking China. These things are this is just crazy. I mean, what is
Well,
going
why do you
on?
think they're doing it? Why do you think they're doing it? I have a theory.
Well, my theory is they want to break the United States up into 10 separate states, never allow us to a country to become as powerful as we became after World War II again. They want to do
Well,
the same thing to Russia too. They want to break it up into little statelets that can never stand alone against their global hegemony here.
well, it warrants a revisit to try and get back to what America was after World War II. Not what the propaganda says we were, but what the economic reality was. So let's look one more time. After World War II, the Russians, the USSR was shattered, exhausted. Germany was shattered, exhausted. Britain was shattered, exhausted. Japan was shattered, exhausted. And the United States was not. Which okay, now we were just getting our second wind. Everyone else was knocked out. So it was not because the United States was so great and formidable and indomitable. It's that everybody else was exhausted, and
We're the last man standing.
yeah, we were the last man standing. So we came in 1947, and we immediately start hamstringing our rights and our freedoms and our liberties and such. We create the CIA. We suddenly do, and I won't go into the whole historical analysis. You have, and I know you know this better than anyone too. You've got a lot of shit that happened before. You got the Federal Reserve being, created. You got Zionism. You got the Jews back in, the whole Balfour Agreement, and then 1947. You set up Israel, and then you've got all of these Nazis and Jews that come into the United States. And you've got the transformation of America from 1950 to 1970. The slow corrosion of the traditions and the heritage and the family values of America. You had an exhausted World War II generation of men that came in that just were too tired to talk about anything or really stand up and defend anything more. You had the UN rising, you got the military-industrial state, you had the Korean War, you had Eisenhower warning about things. Then you had the murder, assassination of Kennedy by the CIA, by the Jews, the Israelis, the Zionists, the Vietnam War, the rise of the military-industrial complex. But America economically was the only man standing. We had an industrial society, but then all of that started to be looted and corrupted, and everything. You weigh in. You're a little bit more on older than I am on a lot of this stuff. But you had the transformation of the American economy, and then the 1980s. Reagan comes in, and I think the 80s was the best decade we had. And that's when everything we got that was probably the zenith of American power, was when Reagan was in office. I'd say 1988, 89 was the zenith, and everything collapsed after that with the George Bush and then Clinton in the 1990s. And then the war against Russia started. The greatest collapse was our failure to embrace Russia, and instead we tried to cannibalize and rape it to death, and that turned Russia against us. And everything has been slow collapse, and then 9/11. But really, Mike, the economic power of America was short-lived because everybody else, essentially was in a coma. Well, that's changed. Everyone else has slowly woken up, right? Like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, when the snow lands and they wake up out of that poppy sleep, right? The world is woken up. And we've helped them wake up by aggression, our hostility, our full spectrum dominance, our empire, our war, 7 countries in 5 years, 9/11, the greatest bloodshedding in the history of mankind, probably, destroying 7 countries and what is it, 7 countries in 5 years, with the
Yes.
Jews again,
Yeah.
Israel and Zionists and Dov Zakheim and Wolfowitz and Feith and Pearl and all of these guys. Jim Fetzer did a great show on 9/11 talking about this. Uh, all of this totally transformed America from a republic into an empire. In 2001, we shot ourselves in the head. And then we ran around trying to shoot every other country. And that's I think ended now. Every other country has had enough. It's taken a long time. But now we're at a point, are we the Weimar Republic or are we about to collapse? We have desecrated and destroyed. We've allowed the desecration and the destruction of our churches, of our families, of our marriages, of our children. How many vaccines have we allowed to come in to vaccinate our children? Not a big fan of Kennedy, but I like some of the stuff. But I mean,
75 for newborn kids within the first 4 days. 75 vaccines now.
75
And
vaccines,
you wonder why autism is off the charts.
I don't know. I don't think any other country does that besides us, but we've allowed this. So it just seems to me, and I'll end it by saying I think we have endured, as the Constitution and the Declaration has said, we have endured suffering to a point they're insufferable. We don't have a country left. So I said all that to say this. What is wrong with the continental United States of America breaking up and ending and reorganizing itself into Florence-style smaller republics? The world can't live without our leadership. Oh, we have to continue to be the light on the hill. All of that propaganda and bullshit is complete, what I just said, propaganda and bullshit. Are we so afraid the Chinese are going to start marching in and the Russians are going to march in and Mexico's going to march in and all that stuff? Are we incapable of defending our republics, our states, without a federal unity? I don't think so. So I say that we need to really radically and responsibly view the geopolitical reality of our country. Is it going to destroy us to be reorganized, to allow ourselves to be reorganized, to divorce ourselves from certain states? Like if you're from New York, no, you don't get to come into Ohio or Missouri if you're from New York, unless you've applied or unless you've got, you've been vetted or something like that. It just seems we have endured such destruction and suffering that the only hope is a forced reorganization, and I don't think it's avoidable. I think it's inevitable, and I'll put it to you. What do you think
Scott,
will happen?
let's look at something. You just made a key statement and you didn't realize it. It's not New York State that has the problem. It's New York City that is the problem. Mm-hmm. It's these big blue cities. I mean, you look at Illinois, another one. Illinois is extremely conservative, extremely rural, extremely agricultural. It's Chicago, the blue city, that is the toxin that's destroying Illinois.
Yeah.
You look at California, LA and San Francisco, the two big population centers, very blue. The rest of California, if you go out in the valley out there where they grow all the fruits and vegetables, it's extremely conservative. Yeah. Same thing in Washington. Seattle is the radical blue city. Everything east of there is extremely conservative. Same in Oregon. Portland, Eugene are the two that are there. It's these east and west coast radical blue cities where the problems are, and the rest of the state is okay. I mean, it's a few counties that really that have this blue toxin in them, and if they want to go stand on their own, let them. Let the rest of us, stand as united, because the people of Illinois don't want to live under the boot of Chicago anymore. They want out from under it. They want to dump their government. But the way the state is, the population center controls it. Arizona, Maricopa County controls all of Arizona politics because that's where the population is. And if you take these population centers and isolate them, and don't give them, like I said, cut off the water, cut off the power, and they will come to heal very quickly. But that's where the problems are. And that's one of the things that Hillary Clinton was complaining about, that she won the popular vote. She lost the electoral college, but she won the popular vote because she won the big blue cities that where all the population density is. I don't want to live in a big blue city. I don't want to live in that kind of a dense population. I prefer to be a little more remote, a little more rural. That agrees with me. I don't want to live in high-rise housing. It's not appealing. But that's where the power base for the blue thinking is. That there's this Marxist socialist thinking that's trying to take over our government right now, and they need to be humbled. We need to bring them to their knees somehow, and that's that's another discussion. Like I said, I've given a couple of hints out here about water and power that will really get people's attention. I mean, imagine New York City, if you have a trucking embargo to New York City, nothing goes in, nothing comes out. Imagine what that place is going to be like in a week, and that's not to mention cutting off their water and power. Imagine if the power that I'm sorry, the political power you would gain if you could control that getting into New York City. They wouldn't know whether to shit or go blind in New York City. These people would be rioting so fast it's not funny. I don't care how many billions of dollars Mr. Bloomberg has, he won't be able to buy himself a steak dinner. And just all it takes is a week and all the food's gone. It doesn't take long. I mean, they're extremely vulnerable. They're extremely weak. They need the rest of America. They need us to produce cattle, to produce wheat, to produce chickens, to produce everything that they consume, because they produce nothing of tangible value. And one of the things that I'm worried about with this economic situation, we're going to talk about Turkey joining the BRICS, by the way. But back in the Great Depression, 45% of America grew their own food. They had a family farm. They produced their own food. Now it's less than 0.1% grows their own food. And so you've got 99.9% of our current population that doesn't know how to feed itself. It doesn't know how to take care of cattle, doesn't know how to raise chickens, doesn't know how to grow corn, doesn't know how to plant tomatoes, for Christ's sakes. And how are these people going to live? And they act like they have power. They don't have power because they're not the producers; they're the consumers. And so that is their vulnerability. That is how we cripple them, if it comes to a real contest here. But they need to be humbled. They need to be brought to their knees. They need to be put flat on their stomachs with their face in the dirt. Is what needs to happen to them. But we'll get to that later. So,
well, the alarming thing is you have a economic collapse, Weimar Republic, and the dollar becomes very, very brittle, if not worthless. The world is turning away from the United States and its economy. Turkey joining BRICS, BRICS emerging, BRICS solidifying and expanding. As BRICS rises and grows, the U.S. dollar shrinks. I think there's an inverse relationship here. And war isn't going to stop that, because the United States doesn't have the ability to wage war. You got planes, you got nukes and stuff, but how many men are capable of fighting war in the United States?
Let me make 2 points. Turkey has no choice but to join BRICS because they're at the nexus of trade in the world.
Yeah.
The Black Sea, the Dardanelles, the Bosporus, they're what connects Europe to Asia is Turkey. So if the world's going to Turkey, the world's going to the BRICS, Turkey has no choice but to join to participate because they want to stay relevant. They have to stay relevant. That's point number one. And what was point number two? I got ahead of myself here.
Well, Israel and Turkey. I mean, this is a hot spot. So you've got Russia, Ukraine, and the United States, and NATO is just a bunch of chihuahuas without any teeth that are barking and bitching and moaning. And
got me the point back. Yeah, the United States can't fight a war. I mean, if the lesson of Ukraine is one thing, look at artillery shells. We boast that we're this great industrial power and that we can produce anything, but Russia is out producing us 25 to 1 on our artillery shells. We can't keep up. The Russians are winning that because, if for nothing else, so we've had to escalate and give them more and more and more advanced missiles and other systems. But artillery is so much cheaper than firing a JSAM or any of these other missiles, ATM, any of these other missile systems that we're giving them away. Now, here's the other side of that coin. If China would decide to cut us off and to interfere with our trade with the rest of Asia, we couldn't. If China wanted to move on Taiwan, they've already won it because the United States couldn't defend it for more than 3 months, maybe 6 at the top, because we don't make enough semiconductors in this country to sustain a war effort. And particularly, I've been researching this a lot, discrete semiconductors, the single package transistor, diode, those type of things, from small signal to high power stuff. Your electric car, every one of them has over 150 power transistors in it. Every system, whether it's a missile system, whether it's your garage door opener, whether it's your TV set, your cell phone, your computer, your car, everything has got these discrete devices in it. We don't make them in this country anymore. They're all made in Asia. And then to complicate it even worse, if we did wafer fab them here, and this is another problem we have, is we don't have any assembly and test capability in this country for semiconductors. We are completely 100% totally reliant on an offshore supply chain that will not feed us if we go into a war with China. It will not feed us. I mean, do you think that Malaysia is going to be running containerfuls of semiconductors to the U.S. if the Chinese warships are off their coast? Hell no. And China's not going to give us anything. Taiwan's going to be shut off. North Korea is going to be making noises at South Korea. We get South Korea, Japan, China, Malaysia is where our semiconductor supplies come from. Those countries can be isolated so easily. We would be shut down in 3 to 6 months. We couldn't make another missile system. We couldn't make another fire control system. We couldn't, make another radar system. There's all kinds of stuff we can't do without these fundamental commodity type semiconductors that our country has now no access to, that's not foreign.
Well, it just seems like you're setting up the United States for a classic fall of Rome scenario. I know we've said it before, but it's like if you draw a picture of a clock, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and all the numbers in between. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The whole ring of the clock are external pressures that are collapsing the United States, that have been positioned by traitors, domestic enemies within the United States. The immigration, the economic policy, the printing of the dollar into oblivion, the poisoning of our children with vaccines, the destruction of our children's identity with transgenderism, homosexuality, the breakup of the family, no-fault divorce, the absence of reading, writing, arithmetic, and math, the introduction of equity, diversity, inclusion, and all that bullshit. Incidentally, on a little rabbit trail, I was down at the farmer's market in California, and some blue-haired woman is running for school board, and I said, what do you stand on the transgender issue? And she kind of looks up in the sky, doesn't look me in the eye, looks up in the sky and says, well, I believe children should be whatever they want to be. And I just let loose like I don't know how you could describe it. One of the dragons in Game of Thrones blowing fire over her ass. I said, you're telling me that you support little children being castrated and taken out of their lives by Gavin Newsom? Well, I'm done with this conversation. I said, and some lesbian bull dyke and her girlfriend with a tattoo had the stupidity to come up to me, say, you're a bully, I said, this is a discussion about our future and our children. This person's running for school board and pushing this whole transgender abomination. All of this, Mike, is inevitably going to have to collapse the United States. And I think it's like a snow on a roof. I'll end it by saying the snow on the roof is so heavy, the timbers are cracking. You can't go up and remove it. The damage is done. It's about to implode. And you have to carve out Where are you going to seek refuge? Where are you going to consolidate? Where are you going to rebuild? How are you going to rebuild? Stephen Pidgeon and I have talked about this too. A nation of walled cities needs to be erected. The United States has been set up for a collapse. Number one. Number two, the collapse is upon us. Am I wrong? And
No,
when
I
that
agree 100%.
occurs, what happens after the collapse occurs? How is the collapse going to happen? You tell me. What's it going to look like? Happen? What's the timeline? Are we talking a month, a 3 months, 6 months, a year of domino effects? And then out of this collapse, and my point of this is the left, the globalists, the Noah Harari, the transhumanists, the Klaus Schwabs, the World Economic Forum, the Bill Gates, all of these fucking assholes think, oh, we're gonna do this and that, and we're gonna force this and COVID-19, and we're gonna shut down the society and this and that, which Trump was stupid enough to allow to happen. All of this stuff they tried to throw. The American people were knocked down, but they got up and they're smarter. I don't think they'll ever allow it to happen again. But they have thought that they can continue to steamroll, or like a rolling pin when you're making pizza dough, right? Just trying to blow, riddle out all the bubbles of independence and liberty and tradition and heritage and everything that gives us personality. They think they can roll out of us, and I think they're dead wrong. It's going to cause more and more and more and more and more people to rise up. Not everyone's a leader, but there are some people that will be rising up, seeking leaders to follow, that will respond with a certain degree, certain differential degrees of violence. Doesn't mean they're Charles Bronson. It doesn't mean they're going out for revenge or anything like that. But it means they're going to exercise violence against the violence up against them. The violent people that try and come at Mike Harris to steal something or take something or bully something or extort something. It's like that video of the Venezuelan gangs in Colorado. Someone knocks on Mike Harris's door to say, hey, man, you need to pay your rent. Give it to me, the Venezuelan gang. What's Mike Harris going to do? Well, I might call Scott Bennett and a few other tribesmen to show up, and those guys aren't going to be allowed to live very long. That's the inevitability of this. This is where things will go. But Mike, I'll put it to you. How is this going to look? Number one, is a collapse coming? Number two, what's it going to look like? And number three, how is it going to evolve? Go ahead.
Well, number one, yes, the collapse is coming. Don't ask me for a timeline. I wish I had one, because I'd be shorting some stocks or some damn thing like that, like they did before 9/11. that issue has resuscitated. What it's going to look like? It's going to look like pandemonium. It's going to look like chaos. People are going to be running around with their hair on fire, not knowing what to do. And these normies, when this happens, people who have not prepared for it, who are going to their job and working every day, are going to panic. They are not going to know what to do. They're going to be out at the gun store trying to buy a gun and see if they can get the last 25 rounds of 9mm. That's what they're going to be doing. And if they can't buy it, they're going to be trying to buy your 9mm from you. They pay you, $200 for a box of 20 rounds. That's what we're coming to. It's those days are upon us here. And like I said, we might have another month. We might have. It's going to depend if there's an election. Let's just see what Kamala Harris does. Let's see if she steps into Biden's place as president before his term is up. Because if that happens, that's a game changer. That is a temporal marker that's going to change things, and everyone will be able to recognize it. If she does, she may call a national emergency. We may not have an election. She may be president for life. Next thing we know, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to look like chaos. It's going to look like pandemonium. And like I said, the wheels are coming off. The system is failing right now. The cylinders are seizing up because there's not enough oil in there to keep things lubed. And like I said, people are hurting. People who are working 2 jobs are sleeping in their fucking cars because they can't afford to pay rent.
Yeah, but you know what, Mike? I don't give a shit about people's sob, sad stories. I care about their anger. Because
That's it. Because people
these
who
sad
they
stories,
get
every
angry.
fucking person has them, and I'm sick and tired of hearing about their bullshit. I
Well, you
want
know what? Oh,
angry
but Scott,
men.
they
I
get
want to
angry.
know where the
That's the
anger
point.
is, because the anger is what's going to fight you out of an ambush. The anger is what's going to take, I don't mean uncontrollable anger. You know that. I mean anger that you're going to stand up and tell a cop, an FBI agent, a marshal, or a congressman, or a senator, or a judge, I stand on my rights, I affirm them, I waive none of them. And if I have to die defending those rights against a domestic enemy, which I will define you as, I will do it. Where is the anger, Mike? Where are the angry men? And
Well,
again, I don't mean
it's already
uncontrollable.
here. Scott, it's already here. Right now, it looks like depression, but the anger stage is going to happen next, and it's going to happen. It's already developing. And
Well,
my
how do you
point I was
trigger it?
trying to make,
How do you
the
trigger
point I
it?
was
And
trying
you're
to make, let me finish. The point I was trying to make is these people who are sleeping in their cars who lost everything are pissed because they got nothing. And people who lose it all, they got nothing to lose. So they may as well fight. And maybe it's not a direct action. Maybe they sabotage something at their job that goes into the military industrial complex. Maybe they undermine something. Maybe they short out a circuit board if they work at an internet company or something. Who knows what they're going to do? But this can take 1,001 different forms of domestic sabotage when people have disengaged from the system. And that's what's happening. People are disengaging and divorcing themselves from this system that is being imposed upon us. And it's time. We're past due. It is upon us. It's already happening, Scott. And so just how long before it goes hot? How long before it's violence in the street? That's the question.
Well, it's something to sociologically map out. It's something to, kind of militarily map out too. And it requires, I mean, it's a very sophisticated algorithm, if you will. And I think there's probably a good computer program the military's already developed, but where and how this evolves and grows, it's almost like looking at the country as different degrees of grass. Some is green wet grass, and some is highly dry and ready to ignite, right? Some are patches are smoldering, smoky. I don't know what to do. Oh, Gomer Pyle, America, all that bullshit. And some is very, I mean, very ready to ignite. And I don't mean uncontrollably. So how does this all look nationally? I mean, um, do you see, for example, the well, let's get really simple. The United States government, currently being occupied under the Biden administration, I believe, is planning for various false flag events, various attacks, various false events that they're going to blame on Russia and Iran or Trump supporters. And they all are already seeding that ground with Merrick Garland and Christopher Wray going on and saying Russia collusion all over again. Russia is influencing our elections. Russia is influencing people like Scott Ritter or Lauren Chen. Scott Ritter is not a Russian spy. He is a former United States officer, a Marine Corps officer, a weapons inspector, and he writes opinions. He writes his opinions, which is a distillation of his skills and experience and knowledge, and he's paid to write those. He's not told what to write. He's paid to write his thoughts, and RT pays him for it. Probably other news articles do too, but he's paid for that. He has a right to earn a living. That's part of his religious duty to God. He who does not work shall not eat. Now, Lauren Chen and Tenet Media, this has just come out that some Russian allegedly, RT paid some Russian organization or Russian individual to pay Lauren Chen and her husband and Tenet Media $10 million to do what? Podcasts? I've watched Lauren Chen a lot. I think she's cute. She's not that bright, but she's very socially conservative. But she's not a Russian spy. But this is now the environment where they are going to start, I think, engaging in a very Nazi-esque sort of
You know,
paranoia
I
campaign.
was told a couple months ago that the roundups were going to start for people who dissent publicly. Like this show and other higher profile ones, that they're going to start rounding people up, including you and I. I mean, that's the cost of doing business. I mean, I'm not going to
Yeah,
I'm not going to take a knee for these fuckers.
no. Well, I mean, that's where it comes. How is this going to look? Are they going to suspend the elections, or do you think we're going to have a calm, quiet election as usual? Do you think we're
Well,
going to have a
like I
natural
said,
election or something else?
I'm hoping for a calm, quiet, honest election, not
Amen.
another theft. But I know that the Democrats, they can't help themselves. It's they're going to cheat because they know they're going to lose. Their positions are so unpopular that they have to cheat to win. And so we're going to have to fight that. But it's going to depend. What is Kamala going to do? Is Biden going to step down? Is he going to take the deal of amnesty for himself? It is pardons for himself and his family, and sit out his term and put her in there, and she's going to run it as an incumbent. I don't know. This is a gating item. This is on my radar, front and center.
Well, let
That
me let me ask you a question. Do you think Kamala Harris is qualified to be the president of the United States
No,
based on
absolutely not.
citizenship?
Absolutely not. She's not qualified for a number of reasons. She doesn't have the intellect to do it. Doesn't have the emotional temperament to do it. And her
Well,
citizenship issue is not even. She's not legit. She,
she's
she
not a
she
natural born citizen,
she's
right
not.
there. So you can't recognize a non natural born citizen as president. That's the whole legal affidavit anchoring. People need to stand up and be prepared, and we've already put out affidavits. But people need to be prepared to file affidavits in their counties that say, I, Scott Bennett, do hereby swear and affirm that Kamala Harris is not qualified to be the president of the United States because she's not a natural born citizen pursuant to the Constitution's requirements that only a natural born person can be president. She's not one. So
Well,
any order she gives, any appointment she gives is not legitimate, and
yeah,
she's not going to be recognized. But it leads me to the other areas. Are they going to Here's a fast one. Are they going to remove Kamala Harris as vice president so she can run for the presidency, put in Gavin Newsom as Joe Biden's vice president, kill Joe Biden or let him die so Gavin Newsom or
well, like I
whoever?
said, there's intrigue going on in the Democrat camp right now. There's a lot of intrigue going on. There's a lot of jockeying, a lot of this type of stuff. But right now, anything you and I could say is just pure speculation because they don't even know. The people who are behind it don't know. But what I want to be clear about here is that we don't have a choice. We didn't want this fight. The Democrats, the communists, the Marxists have brought this fight to us. It's like you're the kid in school trying to avoid the bully, and he finally gets you cornered, and he's going to beat the snot out of you. So you got no choice but to fight. That's the
Mm-hmm.
position we're in,
Yes.
and we have no choice but to fight. And so nobody wants a war. Nobody wants a civil war. Nobody wants this. Don't want it. The last thing we want. But like I said, the bully's got us cornered. What are we going to do? Are we just going to roll up in a ball and take the beating, and be on the ground and let him and his three friends kick the shit out of us, or are we going to try to bloody his nose, at least get a punch in or two to make him know he was in a fight? That's the question. So like I said, Scott, that's why I train. Anyway, what else we got? We're getting kind of long on time here. So what else we got here? Anything?
Well, I just wanted to end with Ukraine, get your assessment on what's going to happen with Ukraine and Russia in the next couple months before
All
the
right.
winter.
Here's my fear with Ukraine. The Ukrainian invasion into Kursk. What my fear is, I'm going to use Nord Stream as an example. That Nord Stream bomb was planted months before it was blown. Okay. What I'm afraid of in Kursk is that Ukraine has planted a nuclear weapon somewhere in that region to be detonated on Russian soil. That is my biggest concern with Ukraine. Other than that, Ukraine's losing, Russia's winning. The Jews have accomplished their goal. They have denuded Ukraine of all their eligible men. There's none left. They're taking little kids, old men, and women is what's making up the Ukrainian military now. Plus whatever mercenaries they can find and hire to go to certain death. but Russia's winning, the West is losing. So the West is escalating and escalating and escalating. And that is why I think the Kursk made no sense. It made no sense for Ukraine to go in there. The only thing I can think of is that they would plant a nuclear device someplace in there, and maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, detonate it. I don't know, but that is my speculation. There is an ulterior motive here that we don't see on the surface, because Kursk makes no sense.
Well, I think you're exactly right. That is a profound prediction that they have planted some sort of a nuclear or biological or both detonating device in
Now, just
Russian
think
territory.
just think if they put just a 10 kiloton tactical nuke, seeded with 500 pounds of cesium, or 1,000 pounds of cesium around it, then suddenly you're talking a dirty bomb of epic proportions that's going to take a lot of good Russian farmland and make it useless for generations. So think about that. This is how these Jew fuckers think, and that is a worst case scenario. So
It's a Sherman plan, right? Scorched earth
scorched earth. If they
from
can't have it,
Tennessee to
nobody's going to
Georgia.
have it. They can't have it. Nobody will. Anyway, on those cheery notes,
Mike
good
Harris,
to see you. Good to be back.
always cheerful and always wonderful to have your assessment. We are in dire times. We are in.
We are. These are
Let
dangerous
me tell
times.
you, I know you're the same, but I don't go into these with some happy, soft-dicked silliness about me. I'm not the Tucker Carlson type. I'm not half these other assholes on their podcasts. I go in this as a military intelligence briefing, as a martial briefing, as a surgeon, a doctor looking into the body politic of the United States, saying we are massively infected with parasites and disease, and this is the part of the body that we need to start isolating and cutting and purifying, and the infection areas that we need to start removing. And the same on a military level. This is all of this threatens our Constitution, and the domestic enemies, obvious. The big thing that's going to happen, I think Israel. I won't be surprised if they kill Trump. He was stupid when he said, "Oh, if Iran assassinates me, we'll wipe them off the map," as if that's not the best thing Netanyahu could hear, because that's exactly what he will do. Trust me, if Trump is assassinated, it's going to be by Netanyahu or Democrats or both. But we look into this and treat it in a very serious way, because otherwise we're not going to have a country in a matter of
Well,
1
Scott,
to 2 months.
we discussed before we started. We don't have a country now.
Yes.
The United States, as we knew it, is gone. It's dead. What we've got to do is start rebuilding what USA 2.0 is going to look like. So
Yes.
that's how we got to be thinking. That's we got to think long term here. We got to survive this. We got some tough times coming, but some of us will get through. Not all of us will. I mean, I got to look at myself at my age and think I may not make it. But I'm sure as hell going to cost them as many as I can on the other side.
I know you will. Mike Harris, always great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Tong, our producer. Thank you for
Sir.
joining us in Global Great Awakenings. We will see you next time. Tomorrow is the presidential debate, so we will not be running, but we will be back Wednesday. God bless you. Good night.